Hi there. This is part of a series of videos that I'm dashing off and posting in succession, going over spy reports and leaks about actors who may have been cast in House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones prequel series, but who haven't been officially announced yet. And I've been doing this by cross-referencing spy photos from filming last month with social media posts and follows by the core cast who have been officially announced. As I said in the other videos, this process has worked before. It's how we figured out that Graham McTavish has joined the cast, and he later admitted to it, that we saw the Kristen Cole actor Fabian Frankel following him on Instagram, wondered, why would he of all people be following him? Then checked the spy photos and went, oh, that's Graham McTavish right there. Now this is my fourth and final video in this series. The first three were more solid. The first two, we actually had spy photos where I thought that probably looks like that actor. The third one I was a little more hesitant on, but famous actress, Millie Brady, could be someone big. This fourth one, it's purely a catch-all of various odds and ends that I don't feel too strongly about individually, but I feel are worth tipping you off to. So this isn't wild speculation saying, I don't know. I just want to point out to you guys, some of the core cast have started following or being followed by these other actors. And they're younger actors who aren't very well known. So it's not like, oh, it's some announcement of, oh, someone from Last Kingdom. You wouldn't have heard of any of these people. But I want to give a roundup of, it seems suspicious, let's keep an eye on this. So that's why this is a roundup devoted to more than one person. For the most part, these are younger actresses in the 18 to 20-year-old range, which means that even if they have joined the cast, these aren't people you've really heard of, and they're probably not going to be major roles, because there's going to be a time skip eventually, probably late season 2 at the very latest. But this isn't like Game of Thrones where Sansa or Daenerys were major ongoing characters, that anyone who's an 18 to 20-year-old playing something now is going to be like young Joanna or young Jane Eyre or something, and the older version will show up later, and they're just going to be a placeholder. Young Aegon II might actually be something worth talking about, because he would have speaking lines in the Rogue Prince novella, which Season 1's going to be based on. So in the first of these 4 videos, when I talked about Ty Tennant will be Aegon II, I did say he'll be young Aegon II. Aegon will have things to say. Or the kid who's playing Aemond, who we saw in spy photos, versus young Helena, his wife, his sister wife. That isn't really that big of a role in Season 1, but it's nice to know. So this is just really scraping the bottom of the barrel for other cast follows that we've seen so far. Keep in mind, for all the filming they're doing, filming in Spain's going to start up any week now. Pretty sure everyone who would be cast has already been cast. They just didn't tell us yet. But we know there's a time skip coming, that in the casting sheets, even Rhaenyra and Alicent in their 20s, as Emma Darcy and Olivia Cooke are playing them, are described as young Rhaenyra and young Alicent, that there's going to be a time skip eventually where, I don't know, like at a certain point when you're like a 50-year-old actor, you can just use age makeup, but anyone who's 18 to 20 will not be playing the same role throughout the run of the show. Aegon II is young Aegon II. So these are just other people who are, it's nice to know they're setting up that character. It's not like, oh, why should I care? Even if they don't do much in Season 1, the fact that they'd be setting up like a Joanna Lannister cameo would let us know that they're devoted to that character and want to work them in prominently by like Season 2. Like, if anytime Season 1 of Game of Thrones mentioned Stannis, we got excited because they were bothering to set him up at all. That sort of thing. So, keeping in mind, and just in full humility, these are just scraps of information. This is all the leftovers from my other videos of other stuff that we thought was a little interesting, of who are these people following. And to start with, let me tell you, it's not just, oh, they're following Olivia Cooke. The reason I am telling you these actresses is because both of them are being followed by, not following, but being followed by one of the new episode directors hired to make season 1, Claire Kilner. And I checked, Claire Kilner hasn't worked with these actresses on any project. So why are they suddenly being followed by her and a couple of other cast members or potential cast members? That is the one thing that if she wasn't following them, if they were just, following Fabian Frankel or something, I would not be making this video. But the key thing for me is, why is one of the episode directors following them on Instagram? So, the two big women, there's a few other ones that I'm going to mention at the end, but the two big female actors who we think have joined the cast, and we are much less certain about who they're playing, are Millie Alcock and Emily Carey. Start with Millie Alcock is an Australian actress, and she is followed by Claire Kilner, the director, Fabian Frankel, the loose-lipped Kristen Cole actor who friends everyone on Instagram, including Graham McTavish, and Ty Tennant, who, as we said, we also have reason to suspect has joined the cast. And this is a little suspicious because she's only ever appeared in Australian TV shows up to now. Why is she suddenly being followed by all these English actors? And I tried to look for, well, is she filming something else in England now? I don't know, but we've seen on Instagram she's taking photos of herself in England with some of these other people. I'll explain that in a minute. That she's in England now. Why? She's an Australian TV person. And that leads me to suspect this is more than just casual acquaintance. There is no logical reason that Claire Kilner would be following her unless she's a fan, but she's not that big of an actor, so I don't know. Age range-wise, Millie Alcock is 20 years old. Someone asked me if this would be the first Australian who ever joined Game of Thrones. Actually, no, there's like 2 or 3 others in varying roles, like the actress that played Lady Crane in the Bravo stage play. She's actually Australian, but moving on. Emily Carey. On Instagram, she's followed by Claire Kilner, the director, as well as Millie Alcock, and Ty Tennant. And she, in turn, follows Ty. So Ty, Tennant, and her are following each other. And she follows Fabian Frankel. And she follows Olivia Cooke herself, Alicent. Emily Carey is best well known for, she actually played the 12-year-old Diana in Wonder Woman. So I guess WB owns her. That Warner Brothers, Warner Discovery, that's the movie branch of the parent company. We are in the TV branch, but part of the whole HBO Max family they have DC Comics, that she was in Wonder Woman. She was young 12-year-old Diana. And if you're trying to guess who she could be playing based on that movie came out a couple of years ago. That came out 4 years ago, and she was playing down. She played 12-year-old Diana when she was 14, 4 years ago. So that was, I'm showing on the screen here, that was Emily Carey then. This now is a recent photo of 18-year-old Emily Carey posted on her Instagram. So she's grown up now. Don't base that on what young Diana looked like. Now, I mentioned photos with Millie Alcock, that recently there was this Instagram post made by actor Toby Wallace at what I think is his birthday party, in which also appeared Fabian Frankel, the Kristen Cole actor, there at the same table, and Millie Alcock. That if she's this young 20-year-old Australian actor who's only done Australian TV, and I don't think is in any British stuff that's filming this year, why is she physically in the same room as the Kristen Cole actor that she is in England now, possibly to be filming something? So that strengthens our idea of why is Millie Alcock within the social circles of all these confirmed actors and directors for this show. Other people who they're following, I'm just going to mention this briefly, but some of them are even in this photo. In this photo, we see Anais Gallagher and Imogen Waterhouse. Imi is an actor. She was in this show called The Outpost, and she's 26, but she isn't followed by any of the other people on Instagram. Other than Millie and everything, but not people associated directly with House of the Dragon, so I don't think she's in it. Might just be an acquaintance. Could Toby Wallace be in it too? I have no idea. He's following Fabian, Millie, and Anais, but no brainer there. I mean, obviously they're friends outside of work. He's physically in a photo with them here. So, on top of that, saying Andy follows them, well, what does that prove? We already know he's in a photo with them. He knows them. Probably just acquaintances. At any rate, Fabian clearly knows Millie, but from this or another project. Well, that brings up the issue that Fabian Frankel hasn't really been in that much. I mean, he's been in a few things, but he's I wouldn't say he's a stuntman, but he's a accredited swordplay guy. He has degrees and stuff in on-screen swordplay. Makes perfect sense. Kristen Cole's one of the best swordsmen alive. But what other project would he know anyone from, much less Millie Alcock? And what would she know him from? So how would they have met at all? That doesn't make sense. Like I said, I don't think Ibby is part of the cast. She's not even following that many people. Gallagher is also she's a professional photographer. Anais Gallagher is actually followed by not just Fabian Frankel and Millie Alcock, but Olivia Cook herself, following her stuff. But she's got a popular Instagram account. She's a professional photographer. She posts all this stuff. If you remember the name, her father was actually one of the guys in Oasis. But she's not a career actor, so I don't think she'd be in this. Again, the ones I put weight on are the ones being followed by the episode director, Claire Kilner, who also happened to be following a couple of House of the Dragon cast members, Millie Alcock and Emily Carey. Doesn't it make sense that they'd want to use one of their in-house stable of actors for Emily Carey or something? That she was in Wonder Woman. She's on the DC team. So like I said, this video is a lot more speculative, scraping the bottom of the barrel. I can only even begin to estimate, to guess who they might be playing, who would be female characters roughly a decade younger than Rhaenyra. And keep in mind, they're not necessarily 18. You get an 18-year-old to play a 16-year-old, well, they're 20 and 18. So even I am 50-50 on whether these two actresses have joined the cast, much less on who they're even playing. But going through that list I made for the Jane Aaron video, I mean, who's left they even could be in this age range? Possibly Helena Targaryen, and I only say that because she follows and is followed by, Millie Alcock is followed by Ty Tennant, who we think is Aegon II, and because she has really angular features, like the Valyrians have really angular features. But then again, for all I know, what if Ty is playing Tywin Lannister and she's playing Joanna Lannister? Entirely possible. But just based on their look and their relative prominence, I think they're playing Targaryens. I'm not really sure, but going through my list of who's left, there's Joanna Lannister, Allie Blackwood. I can kind of guess that maybe Millie is Helena, but Emily Carey, particularly because of how much her face has grown up recently between when she was filming Wonder Woman and now, her face is very different. The angular, well, not as rounded, she was a child. For all I know, she could be playing Allie Blackwood or Joanna Lannister. Keeping in mind that Joanna Lannister was born Joanna Westerling, so she could look like anything. She could look more First Man, Celtic, like the Starks, because the Westerlings are one of the older families. I have no idea who they're playing, and it's entirely possible they're playing some other female role in this show, but as like a bit part, not even a member of a great house. Which is fine. And I'm not sure. And this isn't some big thing. It's not even like when I thought, well, maybe Millie Brady is playing Jane Aaron based on her age range. Because Jane would have stuff to do, might be recurring. These are cameos to set them up. The comparison I keep using is to The Tudors, Natalie Dormer's old show, where in season 3, the future Queen Elizabeth, Henry VIII's daughter, she was in one episode played by a 5-year-old, because there's time skips between seasons. And then the next season, they recast it with a teenaged actress who actually had speaking lines. So when they cast, quote-unquote, Elizabeth in season 3, it's a child actor, just a cameo, look, this person exists, we'll show them again later as a speaking role played by someone else. So Helena, even Joanna, Allie Blackwood, Sarah Snow, could Emily Carey be playing Sarah Snow? She kind of has that Stark look. This is just speculation. It's just the only reason I made this as a video is why is Claire Kilner following these two young actresses on Instagram when they're relative unknowns and they're following other cast members? And I talked about, I'm sorry, I'm rambling, I just want to dash this off. The whole thing I talked about in the Ty Tennant video about aging up the younger characters, that Aegon II marries Helena 2 years after the big funeral scene that we think they filmed for the Year of the Red Spring, 120 AC, from the spy photos. He married his sister Helena 2 years later when he was only 15 and she was only 13. Medieval society. They legally can't show that on screen. They can't show people getting married below the age of 16 in anything produced in the UK. Actor age is irrelevant. It's the age of the fictional character that counts. And you want better actors by casting older people anyway. So they're going to age them up, much as they did for the younger Game of Thrones characters, by 2 years. So, as I talked about this in the Ty Tennant video, Helena is like 13 in the books, but if you're going to point that, they're obviously going to age them up. They'll have an 18-year-old playing a 16-year-old or something, which is probably what they're doing. These two actresses are 20 and 18. Not too convincingly, but, Dawson casting, they'll be playing down like that. So this is even more complicated with Jane Eyre, where that wasn't too much of a factor if it's an actress in her late 20s. This is like with Aegon II. We're not even sure the age range of actor they're necessarily looking for. Joanna Lannister's age wasn't even explicitly stated. But the direct follows and everything, I'm pretty sure on this. And just rounding this out very quickly, one other thing we saw, like today, was actor Tom Glynn-Carney has been following Olivia Cooke, Paddy Considine, the Viserys character, and the official account of House of the Dragon. And Olivia Cooke and Ty Tennant follow him back. That he follows and is followed by Olivia Cooke, Alicent, and Ty Tennant, the rumored Aegon II, follows him. But then again, turns out that if you remember the Ty Tennant video, I said that Ty's big role before this is he was in the Tolkien biography as one of his squad of 4 friends in boarding school. He was Christopher Wiseman, who was the only friend of Tolkien's from school who didn't die in the war. And I said Ty Tennant played young Christopher Wiseman. Turns out Tom Glynn-Carney played old Christopher Wiseman. Right? So on the one hand, maybe Ty is following him simply because he knew him from the Tolkien project a few years ago. They even played the same character at different ages in his life. But that leads to a theory of, well, what if, and this is bonkers and out there, and I don't even believe it myself, what if Ty is playing the younger version of a character and Tom is playing the older one again, that they've established we think Tom looks like an older version of Ty? What if they're both playing Aegon II or both playing Tywin Lannister, for all I know? And they just cast the young and old one at the same time or something? I don't know. But there's even less proof of that. It's just, why is he following and being followed by Olivia Cooke? So this is my catch-up on I don't normally do casting rumors, but there was enough of this going around that it was interesting. Some of them were in spy photos, like the Lena Velaryon actress I think we actually saw in a spy photo. These two actresses here, tell me what you think in the comments. Like, literally the only thing that made me put this into a video is, why is one of the directors following you? Why are you even in England? You're an Australian actor. In the case of Millie Alcock, and in the case of Emily Carey, well, your team Leavesden Studios, your team WB, I assume they'd reuse you on a project. And based on their looks, who do you think they could be, based on their age range? I'm not going to make any more of these videos unless we get a bombshell of, wow, that person's suddenly following someone else on Instagram during the Spain shoot or something. That if we get anything of substance, I'll make a video. I don't anticipate doing another one. But then again, we'll see what happens during the Spain shoot. Because some people who might not have filmed anything last month might be filming some now.